Well, I wouldn't go back too far. One point I'd really like to make was that I think that the big opportunity for the international community to have stepped in and helped things in Burma would have been between 1988 and 1990. Between the time when they had the protests in the streets and the collapse of the BSPP government, and the total, the military showed it couldn't run things. The last constitution they had showed that it couldn't work. They couldn't manage the economy. Everything just collapsed. And that was the real opportunity for people to step in, but nobody stepped in. Well, people the outside world did step in, but they came in to invest and open up businesses and everything else. When the big push for sanctions, the call for the introduction of sanctions, that didn't come until the mid-1990s. So the big embarrassing situation, I think, for the world, and the big disappointing thing for me, is to have watched over the past 20 years as the military has step by step entrenched its power, entrenched its position, and everybody stood at a distance and introduced basically meaningless sanctions. Burma was never so dependent on foreign trade. It only made up like 8% of its economy. And the way in which it was slowly, in graduated steps, introduced, anything any damage it could have done, the Burmese regime could have adjusted for. Those people who were really hurt were people like female textile workers who were then forced into prostitution. Another aspect of all this is we keep on talking about whether or not this constitution will work, and Aung San Suu Kyi and the NLD, but when we talk about these things, we ask, and I totally sympathize with your position, but when we talk about these things, we're always keeping the discussion on the issue of democracy and not-democracy, rather than a whole host of problems underneath the scenes, such as the relationship between the Burmese and the ethnic minorities, and the place of the ethnic minorities in the next government. The other thing I'm concerned about is yes, and I'm divided on this as well, is that the Constitution will present some kind of opportunities, and at some small step, some way that some change can occur. And the Burmese can, the role of military won't be 100%, maybe it'll be like 25% now. But I'm also concerned about provisions in the Constitution which will forgive the military for what they've done in the past 20 years. For all the atrocities will be forgiven, because they cannot be held accountable for that because they did that in support of the government. I think these are some of the issues that I think are most, that I have the most concern for. But it's unclear how this will play out.